All right. Hello. Welcome. It's going to be voiceover AD here. I am the Smaland player. We're going to be reviewing this game. This is a high damage game, high base XP game. A lot happened here. Constantly down. Basically on ships. I think it was a pretty close game right up until the very end. A couple people expressed interest in seeing this replay, so why not? Now, in looking at this game, we're gonna have to figure out, is this a good play? Usually when you have a good game, you think you did the correct thing. I think one of the things we'll see when I play this is, by reviewing this, is that I'm actually not a good, this is not a good game. There are plenty of things that I did wrong. And usually it's even more the case if you die early. But I've been thinking about it, and it probably means if you lose and you die early, well, you made a really big obvious mistake, and that's you pushed too far, too early, or you shot and exposed yourself when you shouldn't have. I personally have a really bad habit in eating torpedoes. And in reviewing this game, we'll see one of my problems is aiming and squirrel brain, and we'll get more into that in a little bit. Now I need to turn off my AA because of the carrier. I need to get another keyboard because I actually don't have the appropriate buttons on my modified keyboard to control the replay, so I will be right back as this plays. All right. Here we go. I'm rushing straight into the cap. For a while I was debating about if I should go turn out left, turn out right around the island, go back to my team, the island on my right. We're gonna see kind of bad aim here. Fortunately, this YOLOing Paulo Emiliolo decides to smoke in front of a Smaland radar, and he can't see. And even though I've been shooting my guns, no one else has been able to detect me. I have an idea of what's happening here. I missed a bunch of shots when he went nose in, unfortunately. I do think I get lucky with the torps. He definitely whiffs a second batch of torps. I very well could have died there. This is generally one of my playstyles in the game, though. I do like to push in, to try and make things happen, to bait the radar, to detect the enemy destroyer. I really don't like sitting back and farming damage, so that's kind of my playstyle, par for the course. Now I'm really worried about the Malta dropping me, being detected. At this point I feel a lot better. I see the sub and I want to help the Jaeger, but I realize the sub's about to be discharged, so hopefully he's just gonna die. Here comes in the Malta. Not a ship I like to see in a destroyer at all. At this point in the game, I'm still looking around. I'm still fairly aware of my surroundings, trying to make some conscious decisions, not just blindly firing at everything I see. My goal here is I want to try and light a fire on the Vermont, and again, see, I'm looking around, holding my guns on target. I want to light a fire, making the decision of, use his DCP on the fire or let himself burn for, I don't know how many thousands of damage that fire is going to burn for. But I really should have stopped firing once I got the first fire, or not have fired at all. The big mistake here is that I didn't start shooting the Z52 until a lot sooner. You saw me looking at him earlier, and if I had made the decision, which the correct decision would have been to, I think, shoot the Z52 as soon as our Jaeger was spotted, or as soon as our Jaeger opened up, I might have been able to save him. But instead I kept on shooting the Vermont, and I think that was a mistake. So potentially the first mistake, potentially the second mistake, maybe you would say charging into the cap, or the buff area with the YOLO Emilio was a mistake. I originally went to that buff, specifically the first buff, because our CV put fighters over there. I was really tempted to go to the one over here, but fortunately I think our Jaeger pushed into that buff instead, which caused their sub to be spotted, which then caused their Z52 to, I think, maybe overextend trying to hunt the Jaeger, and then me come in and clean up the Z52 after the enemy sub had already been killed. Unfortunately, by the time I got to that buff, the fighters had already expired, so they didn't help me spot the Paulo Emilio sooner. But it is what it is. That was my thought process with that. Now here I'm just waiting for my torpedoes to come back. I don't want to open up on this Lenin. I'm not going to do a lot of damage. I'm going to get a lot of shatters. My goal in shooting him would be to try and start a fire or two. Again, make him use one of his DCPs. And I'm just waiting for my torpedoes because I was kind of in front of a rock, and I don't want to be stuck in front of a rock while shooting at a battleship at 7.5, 8 kilometers. And now I've made the decision I want to reverse and pick up this buff. I'm convinced the Lenin is going to want to turn around the rock and not keep pushing into our team, so I'm going to launch the torpedoes down there. The added benefit is I see, hey, there are months there. Maybe I'll be able to get a 2-for-1 deal and get torpedoes on one or both of them. And now that the Lenin has turned away, I start shooting at him, and to my amazement, I actually bait him into turning back into my enemy team. He turns to get his guns on me. That was a late engine boost. As soon as he started turning, as soon as it looked like he started looking at me, I should have turned on my engine boost. I might have taken one less shell. The Vermont's looking at me, thinking of juking the shells preemptively. I think he's going to shoot behind me, so I start going forward. I see the shells go in front of me, so then I start reversing again. He's still looking at me. His back turret's still turning over this way. And there's the 2-for-1. Pick up the buff, start running away. All right. One of my problems is I think my aim, it's okay now, but I think it takes me longer than it could to get accurate shells on target. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the best places I can improve, other than to just stop eating so many torpedoes and make better game decisions. But usually at this point, when I make bad game decisions, it's because my squirrel brain has gone in motion and I forgot what my original thought process was. Lucky dodge. I was not paying attention to the Mecklenburg at all. So I'd say luck number 2, whiffing the Paulo Emilio torps. That was luck number 1. Also a bad decision maybe to push in there to begin with. I've dodged 2 salvos, I think, at this point that I unintentionally meant to. Mecklenburg, that was the second one, and we're going to start to see that more later in the replay. So, yeah. To have a good game, you have to get lucky or be a better player. There's a reason why I don't get over 200k games all the time. I'd say a good game is, for me, anywhere between 60 and 120,000 damage on average. On a game that I last to the end and I don't blow up early overall, etc. Obviously, when you factor in the games that torpedoes to starboard. When you factor in all your games over my account, damage can be a lot lower because sometimes you blow up in the beginning of the game without getting any damage at all. talking about games where I'm actually able to play. Now, interesting thing here, I saw the sub ping. It was on my screen. The sub pinged on my screen, and I didn't see it the first time. I only saw the sub in the right-hand corner of my screen ping the second time on the Bungo, and then I saw the torps. So I actually personally could have spotted the sub sooner. Again, I decided I wanted to turn. I saw that ping rush by me, so I know the sub's looking at me. He's got his little surveillance up or whatever. He's a good sub player. I noticed, came to that conclusion. He pinged me when he already had torpedoes in the water. Ping me, and then 2 seconds later, see those torpedoes shoot up on homing. That's good. At this point, I'm not worried about the sub. After I grabbed the buff, I wanted to turn out with the Jaeger. My radar is ready. When I come around the rock, I'm like, okay, there's gonna be fast Jaeger torps. Still not really worried about the sub. So I'm just trying to maybe whiff the torpedoes, and then at this point I completely forgot about the Jaeger torps. I haven't seen them yet. I'm like, okay, squirrel brain, forgot about the Jaeger torps, focused on the torpedo torps. So I clear the ping, move forward, and then realize I'm leaving the cap, and then the Jaeger torps come. Now if that sub wasn't there, I probably would have just sat there and I would have died to the Jaeger torps, because after about 15 seconds of shooting at the Jaeger, I completely forgot that he was a torpedo boat, even though I was thinking about it when I first came around the corner. Got lucky staying in the cap, didn't lose all my cap points. At this point, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the Leningrad. I want to torpedo right around the corner because I imagine the Thunder is going to want to stick around the corner and not continue sailing in the straight line. He immediately turns out, so those torpedoes are bad. Unfortunately, they're going to miss him. Torpedo and sub and Thunder are divvied up. Still trying to stay in the cap, even though I just got reset and lost all that capture point progress. Looking at the torpedo bombers, my AA is on, trying to help out Pluto in the Wisconsin. He's not CV. This is probably another reason why I was able to have such a good game, is the CV ignored me for most of the game. The CV could have definitely dealt with me. If he wanted to sacrifice a squadron to deal 6,000-7,000 to me. Thunderer was shooting me. That was a big salvo. I thought his reload was longer, which is why I decided to turn in and go get behind the island. I'm like, okay, he shot, I'm gonna get behind the island. And then he shoots his front guns again, and I go, oh crap, it's British. He probably has like a 20-second reload, 22-second reload on his guns. I forgot the reload was so fast, otherwise I would have stayed out longer and waited for him to shoot. Giving him a narrow target wouldn't have eaten that massive damage. So that was a mistake that I actually got punished for. Now I just want to light a fire on him. Flip around. Again, I'm not really worried about the sub because of this island again. Torpedoes to starboard. If I had reverse depth charges or stern depth charges, I would probably try reversing or turning into the sub to depth charge him, but the Smaland they shoot out like a kilometer in front of the bow. I don't really want to deal with it. Also, he just launched torpedoes at me rather than Pluto and the Wisconsin, so that's pretty good. Gives Pluto more time. Technically less torpedoes on him. Still down on ships. I haven't mentioned that a lot. There's actually a lot to talk about. If we're not just talking about the game, but my thought process behind what I'm doing. My goal is to stay in the cap, but at this point, if I were to get majorly reset again, I'm thinking I would leave to hunt down the CV because there's no one else around here to contest the cap. The Mecklenburg is still... Well, actually, the Mecklenburg hasn't been spotted in a long time. To our benefit. To our benefit. I'm kind of slow in bringing around my guns. I'm just watching the planes die. Because I'm distracting myself. I should have definitely started shooting at the Malta 3 seconds sooner. Alright, so I've got 5,800 HP, no more heals. Torpedo squadron in the air. I'm not really worried about torpedoes. My engine boost is going. I'm going to pick up this buff, and then I'm going to want to torpedo the Malta. Amazingly, the sub is still alive. So here we go. My AA is off for some brilliant reason. I know the CF is going for me at this point. Do a widespread. He's turning. I'm going to save the other rack for when I get in a lot closer. All these shells are shattering. I'm not aiming very well. In fact, we'll take a look at the after action report, but I fired like 100 shells, HE shells at this guy, and I dealt like 5,000 damage with my HE. It was pretty much useless. I should have been looking for other areas to pen, but I was pretty distracted. Looked at over 120 non-penetration shells. And then I switch to the AP here, and I start getting pens. And then at the very end, I think I get 2 citadels. There we go. I was focusing the nose because I think thinner armor, less of an angle, more likely to penetrate.
Problem solved, sir.
And his secondaries wrecked me. And now I just need to dodge. Fortunately, my chances of dying are even 2 planes, like 3 or 4 bombs drop, or maybe with 1 plane 3 bombs drop. But I live. If I died here, probably would have been fine. Probably would have still won the game. And the Mecklenburg decides to show up. Now, if I was a CD player, probably would have been wise to just turn out and kite away from the DV running it down. So rather than turning in towards the cap, turn away, even if it would make your planes take longer to get to the battle zone as you're leaving. But there you go. This is basically 245,000 damage, 56 plane kills, 5 buffs, a capture ribbing, and kind of all she wrote. Let's increase this a little bit. So I figured out what the increase speed key is for the WoW replays, and it's just a key that I'm not able to use on my main keyboard, so I had to go pick up a keyboard that actually had the key that I needed. It was one of the reasons why I had no control over the replay other than the spacebar key. Yeah, Confederate, Dreadnought, High Caliber. It was an arms race game, you know. So, AA expert. Lucky, got fairly lucky in some instances, got accurately punished for a misplay on the Thunderer, but otherwise was able to be lucky, which allowed me to play the game. Almost 3,300 base XP. Quite a high game. That usually doesn't happen a lot. I'd say if I get above 2,000 XP, I'd say that's a good, very good game for me. 48,000 damage received. Let's try and find the Malta here. Yeah, 139 HE shells, only 3,000 damage. There you go. My 62 AP shells. I think I did some in the beginning and then some at the very end, and that dealt 21,000. So you saw how much HP the Malta had there at the end and how quickly he melted with the AP. Is there anything else? Humble brag, 101,000 elite commander XP. Pretty good. Pretty good. Having a 3,200 base XP game with the red booster, blue economic booster, and the red commander booster will do that. Unfortunately, I don't think I was running anything other than a a gray free XP booster. If that, I'm not quite sure. Oh well. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.